going to be none other than Gen 5 versus Nemesis. Really interesting game here, Cal. Previously, Gen 5 were up against Nouns in the winners final, but they opted not to go for the speedster that Utah absolutely dominates on.
It's always an interesting choice, especially with what we've talked about today, with how speedsters have been so great after receiving some of the buffs of that new added stat. And you're really starting to see a lot of teams prioritize their bans of these speedsters because they're just so difficult to go into. And immediately off the clip, we're going to see the Meowscarada ban. We're going to see the Talonflame ban. We see the Gengar ban. Look at this. Look at this, Dono. This is wild.
What world are we living in? Are we going to have 4 speedsters banned? Yes, we are. Will we still see one picked, though? That's the question, because, of course, the ones that got that defense penetration added are now banned. What will they go for?
You know, when they did that, I saw like the stat added, like the 0 to 60. I'm like, 60 seems like a lot. Like, I'll have to see how the stat works, but 60 seems like a lot. Just like off of like my knee-jerk reaction, seeing the numbers and seeing what these teams consider for these bans, especially as we get later and later into this bracket, you know, winners finals, lower finals, and probably in the grand finals, we're going to see something similar. Teams do not want to play against these Pokemon.
No, it's really no surprise. What they do want to play with, though, is that Snorlax. It has had a meteoric rise in popularity due to its recent changes, finding itself to be a strong defender. And speaking about strong in this meta right now, Kyle, Mewtwo Y has had a resurgence. Lunda picking it up there. With the teleport it has access to, it's really good at being able to kite around the Pokemon coming its way.
I love the Mewtwo Y right now. It kind of took a little bit for it to gain some popularity in the West, but a lot of the Eastern teams really put a lot of stocks into it, and it looked fantastic over there in a lot of the ACL action. And some of the teams you start seeing like slowly adapt, slowly add it into their pool of Pokemon that they use. And I think more and more we see it, the more and more popular it's getting. We even saw teams like LG utilize it in more of like that support role, kind of hit like some backline damage with an experience share, and even that seems to perform pretty well.
Yeah, rightly so. We finally have Leafeon coming onto the field. So Leafeon has had a bit of a drop-off, like literally the opposite of the Mewtwo Y, in the sense that other speedsters just do more for it. Of course, Leafeon will still have a good early game, and if you can have a good early game on it, you're at least going to make a good impact onto your team. But of course, when we hit those later stages of this game, it starts to fall off, right, Kyle? It does have a difficult situation of handling team fights, but we'll have to see whether Vincent can do enough here, because Utah has picked up the pseudo speedster that is Mimikyu.
Yeah, Mimikyu, just one of those best shutdown Pokemon for speedsters. You know, it's if you're able to hit those Shadow Sneaks, it tends to just stop them in their tracks, deletes them, wipes them off the Theosky. I also really like the Aegislash right now. Aegislash, a very strong pick. It's kind of like that tank buster. The buffs that it received a couple patches ago really just skyrocketed it into relevancy, because the extra 1.5% per boosted attack in that sword form was really valuable, especially when, you know, some teams really like playing a lot of tanks. I mean, you saw a lot of Snorlax kind of creeping back up into relevancy, and a lot of the Blastoise from that buff. But against this Umbreon, against this Swinub, that's going to be really valuable. So that's the Pokemon that I really want to watch this match.
Yeah, rightly. So here we go. It's the losers finals. We're going to have Nemesis on your purple side, Gen 5 on your orange side. And as a reminder, chat, this is a best of 3.
Best of 3, early experience going over to Gen 5. That contested farm taken by the Mewtwo that might enable them to play a little bit more aggressively in this basement path.
Zacian's just so aggressive from the get-go. Of course, they're able to do so, but with that Honedge being there, they decide to retreat. Leafeon here trying to get the good early game. They steal the red buff away from Mimikyu. That could have dire consequences, because they won't have level 5 now, Kyle.
Really rough. We're going to see the Mimikyu pivot towards this top path. Leafeon might be going back to their central area to clear the rest. Or since they got some of that farm from Gen 5, they might just pivot to this top path, which is exactly what they're doing.
Oh, they managed to take the home edge as well. That Eva is really close to getting that evolution. If they can get this 11 in, they'll find it. But Psyduck is here to stop that happening. Mimikyu trying to get this level 5. They find it. But are they able to do enough? The Razor Leaf isn't there to take the KO, but they do get back to their pad.
Nemesis really putting their foot on the gas early on. While they didn't get a ton of value in this basement path, it seems like Mewtwo and Snorlax kind of gobbling up a lot of the XP to keep that away from the Swinub and the Drizzile. So they did that pretty well. Unfortunately, the top did not go quite as well for Gen 5. So really look for Gen 5 to maybe put some stocks in this basement path.
Yeah, it seems like that might be the case. We still have this Dual Blade and Psyduck up here as well. So Zacian is going to make a quick rotate into this central area as they try and see if they can get these birds. Mimikyu has arrived. They do have their first power spike, so this could be dangerous for them. Piloswine is here as well, though. I'd imagine they are running that Ice Fang as they put some pressure onto Mimikyu. It's enabled Zacian to drop these Sacred Swords, and they're able to pick up a huge amount of that experience. Leafeon dives on in, gets hit by the Surf from Psyduck, and unfortunately, Umbreon is going to fall. I think Gen 5 may have come out of that one feeling quite rosy, Kyle.
Doublade really putting in a lot of work. They really put the dew in that Pokemon. So Nemesis maybe playing a little bit more cautious down here in the basement path. However, Relics on the Inteleon is level 7, so they have access to Snipe Shot. So look for a lot of backline poke damage and even a little bit of frontline poke damage. And the Zacian up top is going to hold the door up there.
It is so difficult to go up against an Aegislash now. It seems to be really good at 1v1s to the point that even Zacian is having difficulty with it. They are able to defend it though and grab all of these central birds that have spawned in the top pad. Psyduck is here, but it seems like Nemesis are going to put a lot of importance onto this top lane that we mentioned earlier, Kyle. They're going to go straight for a rip onto this Regieleki, trying to see if they can get Umbreon to zone it on out, but here's Psyduck with the Surf as well. Aegislash ready to dive on in. There's the Emerald 2-step that's going to take out Psyduck. They continue to put damage onto the Lecky, but Mimikyu is there. They aren't able to take it away. They do get that locked in on the side of Nemesis, but they do find the KO onto Zacian, and now they can really defend this Lecky just enough time with those snipe shots just whipping past them.
Oh man, I was just about to say, I think Aegislash is probably okay with losing that objective because they should be able to rip this down. And then as immediately as I was about to say that, Relics comes in with a couple of incredible snipe shots into the backline, taking out Mimikyu and Aegislash, and Leafeon also putting in the work. That's exactly what you need if you're Nemesis. You found an early level advantage. You need to keep up the levels. You need to keep putting your foot on the gas, because like we talked about earlier in that pick phase, Leafeon tends to fall off towards the late game. So if you're able to hold on to this level lead from the early game, translate that to the end in the mid to late game and into the final stretch, it tends to be pretty good still.
Yeah, rightly so, and that's why we're seeing them grab every piece of experience they can in this lane. Snorlax utilizing the power of the block to give them that shield to keep them around. Of course, breaking that top pad has meant that a lot of that catch-up experience was open for Aegislash. They've now hit level 10, just slightly behind the Inteleon here, and if they can keep up with these levels, it's going to give Gen 5 the advantage that they need for these next team fights.
They're going to try to find a way to push. Right now, they are monitoring this basement path, looking at the goal zone that is being held by the Umbreon along with Relics on the Inteleon, looking for a way in. Psyduck is grabbing vision towards the middle part of the match, and I don't know. I think Gen 5, they saw how much stocks Nemesis was putting in this basement path, and they're going to just peel back to their own goal zone.
Hype shots continuing to rain on in. They pick up some Wild Farm with it and then hit the Mewtwo, put it down to that half HP stance. As this basement Reggie is about to spawn, Psyduck managing to pull Inteleon out of the bush. The Heavy Slam was there with the block, but they weren't able to catch it. The Fell Stinger is going to enable Rexy to get themselves out of that situation. The rip on the Lecky is here as well from a Nemesis. They're going to get that with no contestment at all, whilst Gen 5 is down here trying to see what they can do with Regice. The Azure Spy Vision has come on out. They've not been able to pick up the Psyduck. Mewtwo with the Side Strike, trying to see if they can take down Trainer. They do find the Mamoswine. They're going to get the Regice as well, so they may lose the Lecky, but they at least get some advantage in that basement lane, Kyle.
Look how much value that Nemesis is getting on the opposite side of the map. They got the Lecky and then full pockets for the Leafeon along with the Zacian. That T2 goal zone went down. So, and even more important for Nemesis, they have an additional win condition now, right? So there will be a later Alecki that could push towards that home goal zone near the end. So Gen 5 definitely not responding in time for that. We'll see how this end game pulls out, though.
Emerald two-step takes one, and then they find Psyduck with the Razor Leaf as well. So it's definitely a difficult situation for Gen 5 right now. They're down points-wise, levels-wise. They're keeping themselves into it, but Nemesis, they're working so well together so far. And Zacian kind of doing whatever they want to do. Metallic is dominating this central area from Gen 5, and they're trying to play a little bit of catch-up against it.
Gonna have to, right? A minute and 20 seconds until the final stretch. You might see Unite moves fly maybe once before here, but I think if Gen 5 would like, I think they may just elect to hold it until the Rayquaza because they will be playing for it at this point. A little bit of engage here from the Snorlax, but snipe shots once again from Relics is going to put any stop to the thought of pushing that T2 pad.
Yeah, I think Snorlax was definitely debating it, but then seeing those snipe shots raining down, Kranix was like, yeah, you know what? Nah, we'll go back to the pad. Like
I wouldn't want to either, especially with how proficient Relics is on that Pokemon. Look at this little fight up here, though, for this T1 pad.
Yeah, and of course that Lecky is about to spawn. Gen 5 have to be here because that is the win condition. 30 seconds away from this Rayquaza, and these snipe shots, again, doing absolute bits for Nemesis. Gen 5 can't even get close to Relics, and that is the difficult situation that they're in. The rip onto the Regieleki is here. It's just going to take a second to reset, but they have managed to dive on into the Leafeon. Is it going to be enough, though? Because here comes the Zacian, the Sacred Swords of landing. There's the Infinite Sideburn. We also saw the full power Sai, but Leafeon takes 2, 5 seconds away from Rayquaza, and this is where they've decided the battle is going to take place. Mamoswine falls, and it does look like they're just going to set back into this Rayquaza pit here, Kyle.
Gen 5 used so many resources here. They're going to have to put a lot of pressure on. We'll see if Nemesis is able to respond. They are going to be here in time. Rayquaza already at half. More Unite moves falling, though.
Oh, yeah, the pressure is on. The Azure Spy Vision has been utilized by Relics. That's going to be great for trying to lock in this Rayquaza. It doesn't matter, though, because Mimikyu does it for Gen 5. Now they just need to get a couple of hundo burgers in to lock in the win. Inteleon could go score, but that looks like they're going to go back to defend and try and break some of these shields.
There's still plenty of time, though. Look at this. Whoa. The GG, that seemed a little bit early here, Tano. I feel like with a minute and 20 seconds left and a couple of shields broken, Nemesis still had a chance to win there.
Yeah, I think something could have happened. You know, I'm with you. A minute left on the board, take a couple of team fights, see if you can take some shields, but I guess Nemesis just thought, nope, let's reset. We feel like we've lost that one. Let's go into the second game, but it felt like Nemesis had some great advantages in that battle, though, Kyle. Relics, again, proving how difficult they are to catch on the Inteleon and just dropping huge amounts of damage. And I gotta say, I think Vincent did really good on the Leafeon as well.
Oh, fantastic work by them. Just unfortunate for the Rayquaza secure. Obviously, Megu was able to complete that secure on Rayquaza, which was huge. And I don't know, that top Regieleki fight could have gone a little bit better for Nemesis. Unfortunately, they didn't lose any of their Pokemon during that fight, but I think the thing was their health bars were so low, they had to go back to base, and Gen 5, they were starting to respawn, and, you know, you have Kranix really putting some pressure forward, Lunder on the back line, really forcing Nemesis to walk through that choke point, and by that time, like, Gen 5 had already weakened the Rayquaza to half.
Yeah, they definitely had a good advantage of dropping a huge amount of damage onto it, and nothing. Yeah, what can you do in that situation? It seems like Nemesis took the approach of let's surrender and go into the next game. So, do we think we're going to see what we previously saw, Kyle, with 4 speedsters getting banned again in this game too?
I wouldn't be surprised, right? I mean, it seems like if teams have a game plan, especially around what they want bans to be, they don't often deviate from that. So I would imagine that you'll see the same things. Maybe you'll see like maybe what order the speedsters get banned in and change, but I don't know. I think you almost have to ban them unless you're going to pick them. Maybe if you're that first pick, you leave one of them available if you have someone that can really play one of them. So I would imagine that would probably be the strategy. So maybe on that purple side, you leave one of the speedsters, maybe ban Blissey instead. That way the opponent isn't able to pick that up, and then every other one, maybe one of those speedsters. I think that's probably what we'll continue to see as this meta develops.
Yeah, definitely. Here we go, though. We're going to go straight into the second pick ban phase. Nemesis having the advantage of going for the first pick. Let's see what ban they want to take straight away. It was the speedster from the get-go, and it looks like that's going to be the same here.
We'll see. Yeah, there is that Meowscarada, like you said, and there's that Talonflame. So looks like the teams are pretty set on these bans kind of continuing the way of the past way that they did in game 1. I don't imagine that we'll see anything much different, but Nemesis, they may shock it. There it is. There is something a little bit different. So they're going to go ahead and ban that Mimikyu instead. And Gen 5 banning the Leafeon. So that does open up one of those really strong speedsters to be picked by them.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Absol that Utah is well renowned for being incredibly strong on. You've got Gengar that has been working really well, and Relics is going to take that one straight away. I am in such a happy place with Pokemon Unite right now, Kyle. I know other people aren't, but this is my kind of Pokemon Unite.
I'm terrified. I haven't played any of the new season outside of the 500 point mode, which I've been having so much fun playing. But yeah, I'm not a speedster player myself. I tend to play a lot of attackers. I play a lot of support, so it's not quite my time to shine right now. I do like this pickup from Gen 5, like you said, Absol going over to Utah, and I like this pick with the Psyduck. I think it's very strong. It's been just an incredible support Pokemon to play, especially if there is a speedster on the other side. That Psychic has the ability to move and pivot Pokemon to whichever direction you want. And I like Surf a little bit more than Bubble Beam. We saw Bubble Beam a little bit earlier, and I don't know. I think it can work, but it's not my favorite move set on it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What is good, though, is the Umbreon pickup by Rex. I think pairing that Wish on your team just does so much healing, Kyle, that you definitely want to take that the second it is open. Megu going back to their comfort pick of the Aegislash as well on the side of Gen 5. And no surprise, Lunda also takes that Mewtwo. Why? They're building a comp that Gen 5 feel extremely comfortable on here.
I really like this combination from Gen 5. We saw how great it looked at times, especially in that late team fight. A lot of secure ability on their side, right? You have Absol that has a pretty good last hitting ability. You also have Megu on the Aegislash that essentially won the game for them, right? Securing that Rayquaza, fantastic there. But on the opposite side, you always have to look out for a Blaziken. So if you're Gen 5, you need to find a way to take out Blaziken before any objective secure, that you even think about securing the objective, because that thing, probably the best secure tool on the map currently with that overheat.
Yeah, definitely. Vincent's going to pick up the Scizor, or I say Scizor, it very well could also be a Cypher. Let's keep a close eye on that. Of course, Scizor does quite decent against these melee-heavy comps that might be coming their way. Of course, Lunda's there for the range for Gen 5, but with Megu and Utah being there, Scizor could work well, except maybe for Megu, because, of course, Wide Guard's going to go up, and you can't stop that bullet punch once the punches start flying, Kyle.
True. I was kind of thinking about it earlier today of like, I could see Scizor getting some play. Because the thing that Scizor really struggles into is, like you said, anything with range, anything that can kind of kite you pretty well. So I wouldn't doubt if we saw a Scizor with this new speedster meta that we're going to likely be in for a bit, maybe at least until the next patch. Scyther, though, I mean, didn't get picked a ton, but there are a lot of proficient players on Scyther. I mean, you think of teams like Peru that pilot that very well. Maybe we see some Scyther, maybe that additional speedster to play.
Listen, dual wing beat has the power of the execute, and you know, in a game where speedsters are dominant, but they are quite squishy, that Cypher can have a field day. I like to take it into speedsters, so we'll keep a close eye on that one. But here we go, it's game 2 of our loser finals here today. Nemesis on your purple side, Gen 5 on your orange side.
Winner is going to be going up to the top where Nouns Esports is waiting in the wings. If Gen 5 is able to close it out this game, they'll go up there. Nemesis wins this game, though, they're going to be forcing a game number 3 to see who goes up. So Nemesis obviously in that do or die situation at this point in the match. Some Secure is going out over, and it's Torchic kind of coming ahead early on.
Ooh, they do manage to find Torchic with the side tuck. Exactly. They like to curse us, Kyle, but a good rude KO for Sazero. And they were looking to score some points, but they're not going to be able to. They're just trying to stop this evolution from Umbreon as early as possible.
Ooh, and it is a Scyther here, Tano, so looking to put on some pressure, but a pressure the opposite way is this Absol that's going to be forced to go back to their goal zone for some shields.
Wow, I am loving this matchup. It's going to be speedster galore. I know Cypher's an all-rounder, chat. Yes, I know, but it is a speedster. Come on. They do have the execute. This is going to be really interesting up against Utah. Nemesis are here, but they don't have the levels that Gen 5 have. They've got a benefit. The pursuit comes in. They try to use the dual wing beat to take them down, but the duo blade falls, and it's going to be the Umbreon that gets the evolution.
That's a big KO for Umbreon right there. They definitely needed to get online, and that prevented Gen 5 from pushing even more forward. Because I think if Umbreon goes down, you might see Gen 5 continue pushing that pad, get some of their scores in. And when they start snowballing, that could be really tricky for Nemesis.
Yeah, it definitely can. We do have this dual blade trying to dive on in, but they're not going to be able to pick up those KOs. Umbreon is so difficult to take down once he gets that evolution. So they need to reevaluate, and that's why we see Utah come up here. They're on that level 7, trying to see if they can use that Psycho Cut to take down Combusken. But with Nemesis rotating to the central area, they've capitalized on scoring those points. All of this farm will go to Nemesis, and they catch up here, trying to see if they can get some KOs. They do find Cypher, though, Kyle, and also Haunter. It looks like Snorlax is also going to fall. Trainer's not able to survive. Utah with a triple KO.
3-piece combo, Utah getting online, nearing their level 9. They don't have access to their Unite move just yet, but it's only a matter of time. Gen 5 really putting their foot on the gas, and if you're Nemesis, you really need to get your Haunter, you really need to get this Scyther, their level 9, so that they can really start entering this fight, because you do not want Gen 5 to start snowballing here. 720 birds, we're going to see a 3-on-3.
Yeah, that we are. Nice heavy slam from Trainer, trying to put down that CC and give this farm over to the side of Nemesis. But again, Utah is there. They have Midnight Slash. This is it. We talk about Relics being one of the best in the world on Inteleon. We're looking at Utah, one of the best in the world on Absol, in my opinion here, Kyle.
Yeah, giving them that Pokemon might be a misstep for Nemesis. I mean, time will tell if it's going to be the end game that wins it for them. But right now, this early game going absolutely swimmingly for Gen 5. Obviously, 58-0 on the scoreboard. But you're looking at the levels. You already have level 9 on that Absol. You're likely going to tick into 9 on this Aegislash as well. And there is another fight that's going to be happening up here. We'll see what happens.
Regieleki getting pretty weak. Absol is here. They've got the Midnight Slash. They use the coup de grace as well, so they're utilizing 2 Unite moves to lock in that Regieleki. And in return, the Green Illusion dives onto Utah, but it doesn't find the answer. There's the Infinite Cyburn from Mewtwo. Why? They say goodbye to Blaziken. We do have some good defense from Trainer, but still, that Lecky reigns in. 40 points on Megu. They could get a nice overcap, but it looks like they're going to leave it open for as long as they can.
Yeah, they want to deprive some experience, those top Indeedis that spawn once that T1 goal zone is broken. So that is the strategy here. You'll see this Aegislash try to wait until the last second before they go. It will be a 39-point overdog. Yeah, just a little bit of style points there. Stalling that out. And 188 to, I don't know what that number is. I don't think it exists. It might be a big old goose egg.
Ooh, that's not going to be nice for Nemesis. And what I am reminded of here, though, is, of course, Gen 5 got shut out by Nouns in that winners final. So they're playing really angry here, looking to see if they can do the same to Nemesis, playing together really well. We have a level 12 Absol on the field here, Kyle, and we're just about to hit the 520 mark.
2 levels ahead of the best Pokemon on Nemesis, which is that level 10 Scyther. Level 9 on the Blaziken is definitely nothing to scoff at. They are going to have some great last hitting ability, but Nemesis has fallen behind at the halfway mark, and it's starting to get out of control. You need to find a KO onto this Absol to maybe stop the bleeding. Nemesis is going to push all 5 members in this basement path.
Full power Sai AI coming out there as well, just trying to give themselves a little bit of zone in. There's the Dream Eater. That's going to find Mewtwo Y. That might be the turning point for Nemesis in this fight, or at least it was until Yutao showed up. They dropped that Psycho Cut. Look at the damage raining in. The Moonlight Prance has to be used just to keep them around. They still haven't been able to get the KO onto Absol, though. There's the rip onto the Registeel. The Green Illusion dive does find it, and that's a huge advantage for Nemesis.
Exactly what the doctor ordered. Getting the KO onto Absol was what you needed if you're Nemesis. You not only that, but you're able to secure that Registeel, which is a huge buff for them as well. It's going to be special attack and attack boost for the next 90 seconds, which will be really pivotal in whatever fight they want to do next. And another Mewtwo Unite is going to rain down. That takes care of the Blaziken, and Gen 5 really putting the foot on the gas here.
Yeah, now you're just fighting against two defenders, and whilst they do take a lot of punishment, you are up against a mega Mewtwo Y, and the disruption from Sableye and Mamoswine is going to be enough for them to be able to at least try and do something. But of course, what a huge defense from Snorlax. Blaziken's going to get their Relics, trying to see if they can find a KO with a Phantom Ambush. They do take out Yutao, but they're not able to take out the Aegislash, who can now defend that Lecky.
If you're Gengar, you absolutely take that trade. It was a level 13 Absol. You're able to tick into your level 12, so that's starting to even up the score. I mean, look at this, Tano. Scyther and Gengar both kind of creeping up. They're starting to purr here. I mean, 233 to nothing, so you still need to find a way to turn that XP into some points if you're Nemesis, but you got to be happy with the catches that you've had on Yutao. Level 14, nothing to scoff at, but Gen 5, they are still putting pressure on all sorts of this map.
Yeah, it's a difficult balancing act, isn't it? To continue to put this huge pressure on, but also not overstaying to the point where you give across some really valuable experience. 20 seconds for this basement Reggie even. We do see Gen 5 rotating down. Relics is just trying to work out who's around. They've got the Dream Eater. Oh, Lunda just able to dodge
that was
it.
Beautiful.
Oh, such a beautiful play to get themselves away from there. Snorlax has been caught out with the Ice Fang because Yutao takes them down. We've got a couple of seconds. What's it going to be, Kyle? It's a Regice. Not too bad from the side of Nemesis.
The Reggie Roulette.
Yeah.
I love the Reggie Roulette. Rolls and Ice, but Gen 5, the synergy between Mamoswine along with the other Pokemon has been something to watch out for. Scyther goes down. They were level 14. They'll beat back by Rayquaza time, but Gen 5 is going to get into position that forces the Unite move from this Gengar here, Tano.
Ooh, Phantom Ambush used there for absolutely no value other than the fact that they still get to be on the field. It's not what you want from your Gengar. You want to use it to take out a Squishy. At least they can try and see if they can score some points, but they've got a donut on the board. It's not going to be enough to make that much of a difference. Snorlax has been felled for it as well. The Power Nap isn't enough to keep them around. Gen 5 have the advantage right now, but they need to be careful with this rip because Cypher and Blaziken are getting prepared in that top half.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to rip around a Blaziken, especially if you're not sure where exactly they are located. Looks like Scyther is going to try to insulate them. Aegislash might be caught out here if they're not too careful. They're going to Sacred Sword onto the Umbreon, maybe chunk them down just a touch. But Gen 5 playing very cautious right now.
It seems like they are just waiting for the right moment, but of course they are still behind. 90 points is definitely a good amount that they've scored, but it's still 233. Here's the engage. We've got a minute left. Snorlax does get felled. The sword comes out on top. Not able to do much on the Umbreon either. Cypher not able to get a single execute KO off Absol. Absolutely cooking. We called it. Yutao is absolutely built different on that mon.
We'll see if Gengar is able to get in place, but Gen 5, they're going to elect to just increase their score lead and try to not worry about the Rayquaza. Gengar able to take out the Psyduck. Mewtwo Y, Side Strike on the Gengar, closed out by Aegislash. This Rayquaza is getting super low though, Tano.
That it is. They have 33 seconds, but it doesn't matter. Lunda takes it anyway. Mewtwo Y is going to be able to take that. Some more Hundo Bogus raining in. Well, Nemesis, they put up the white flag, Kyle. They're going to take that win.
There's the GG from Nemesis. They are going to be going home, and Gen 5, they are going up top for a little bit of a salty run back against Nouns Esports. A matchup as old as time. 333 to 90 is going to be your final, but look at this, Tano. 13 KOs by Utah. At this point, Tano, I don't think you let anybody on Gen 5 take that Absol, especially not Utah.
Yeah, and this is why we were so confused in the previous set, because Gen 5 let that Absol go. They didn't give it to Utah, they gave it to Nouns when they didn't need to, so this is the fact. Don't let that happen. Give Utah that Absol, build around it, and you can absolutely cook. Look at these stats here, chat. 88k damage coming in from Utah, but everything on that team worked. You had the disruption from Sazero, you had it from Kranix, and Lunda dropping so much damage from afar, and Megu was so hard to take down. It works for Gen 5, so stick with what you know works.
Gotta stick with it, but maybe sticking with it we aren't, because we are going to be taking a quick break, folks, while we get the grand finals set up. It is going to be Gen 5. It is going to be Nouns Esports. I'm so excited to see how this matchup plays out, and oh, it's going to be an incredible one.